Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Sunday, January 17th, 2016. This is episode 240. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show, and you'll come back in the future. So, how y'all been? Callie's back this week.
I am.
Yay! No work meetings sprung on her at the last minute.
Praise Jesus.
So, I've got a lot to show off. I wish there was more progress, but I still have a lot of things to show off. So, quick week in review for myself. Taught all week. I have tomorrow off due to Martin Luther King Day. Thankful for it. It was a long week. The weeks are just, there's new challenges every day, but they're the same challenges of dealing with behavior issues. And I swear that is really what gets the teachers. I go back and forth. Like, we're having a good, what do I want to call it? School administration bureaucracy year. Like, there's not a whole lot of issues in school politics. That was my issue last year and a little bit of the year before, and I'd be like, I can deal with the kids. It's all the politics and the changes. And this year it's just like, I'm so tired of dealing with the same behavior issues. And just when you're like, oh, I got a summer break, you come back to a fresh batch of kids that are the same age again, that have to be taught the same behaviors. And it's just, as you get older and farther away from their age, it becomes even more annoying.
Yeah.
So, that's that. But it is what it is. I mean, for the most part, they're good kids, but it's just... So, yeah, other than that, we're doing a lot of dyeing and a lot of prepping for this year's upcoming shows, getting down stock ready. And by down stock, I mean enough yarn to fill a 10 by 20 booth. Completely packed. We want all of that ready, not in the shop, down stock, ready to go for YarnCon. So we are working our butts off. Basement overfloweth with yarn, dyed and undyed. So the knitter in me likes to kind of squee on the inside every time I walk down in the basement. The dyer in me, every time I walk down, I'm like, oh, it never ends. But it's good. Like Andy and I say, maybe we'll eventually get it tattooed on our bodies. It's a good problem to have, right? So,
as long as you put it in an appropriate spot.
Anyway, so that's pretty much been my week. Nothing too exciting on my part.
How do I want to start with my... not this past week, but the week that I was gone. Really busy, really busy, and really busy. This week, really busy. A lot of angst, a lot of anger, and I'm just going to put this out there. If you would like me to be closer to you, I am looking for a new job, so there may or may not be an opportunity I could live closer to you. So... if you see something that you feel I might enjoy, you just let me know. Because who knows?
The world is her oyster.
I will say, if you are looking for things and you're looking at qualifications, I do have my bachelor's. I don't have a master's. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're looking for something from me, because I'm open to ideas and suggestions. It has been a very unbalanced week for me, in terms of, we keep losing people, and I find that my, boss doesn't realize that we're losing people because of her, and so it's kind of like, if you don't see this as a problem, I don't know what to tell you, I'm not gonna disclose who it was, but another person that I work with said that they are going to leave, and I said, well, when you do that, you let me know, because if we both leave, things are not going to be good. And we kind of really don't care at this point. So if you have, I mean, like, we were in a training, I was in a training on Friday to learn how to drive a turtle van. In case you don't know what those look like, it's kind of like a combination of like a small Winnebago meets like a 15-passenger bus kind of thing. Okay, it's got a little bit of a top that makes it look like a turtle shell. That's why they're called turtle vans. And so I got certified to drive one of those as well as drive a short bus. So we were in this training, and our instructor was like, "Oh, you know, how long have you?" He said, I don't know how we got started on this conversation, but I said, "Yeah, you're looking at 3 of the most tenured people in our job." And he was like, "What? Y'all are just kids. You're babies." And he was like, "Y'all can't be the most tenured." And I was like, "Both of those, my other 2 coworkers," I said, "they have 5 years and I have 4 in September." I said, "So," and he was like, "Nah, your boss don't realize that she's sending people away." And I was like, "Therein lies the problem, my friend." He was like, "Oh man, you guys got it a little rough, don't you?" And I was like, I said I would rather teach people how to drive these than go back to work this afternoon. But anyways, but I've been making some good strides because I am the chair of our spirit committee, and I also became the captain of our fitness team for, we do this thing called Live Healthy Illinois. And so we get whoever wants to participate in our work, they can participate. It's $10 to participate. And you get split into teams. It's done by someone else. And I was split into a team, and I asked, "Hey, would you mind if I am leader?" And they said, "Yep, that's fine." So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to be officially the chair of our spirit committee, because I've unofficially been it for the last 3 years. 3 years. So it's been pretty cool to have that now. So I have more people on my team because I asked more people to be on my team. So, you know, as much as I would like to leave, at least I'm doing things that are making me happy to at least enjoy it. And I do love my kiddos, and that's the hardest thing, is like, you got to do what's best for yourself. And if leaving them, that's kind of hard to swallow, because they are what makes my job enjoyable. So, anywho, but if you'd like to see me closer to you, the offer still stands. So, other than that, pretty good week. I just wanted to say this because I think people that don't work as many weekends as I do kind of take it for granted. I had to take my car into the shop yesterday, and that's not why I'm like super happy, but I got to schedule my appointment for 8:30 in the morning. And again, but like, I got to go into Bloomington without rush hour. I was the first one in the shop. They had just made coffee, and my dealership, they actually buy Starbucks. So I had fresh Starbucks coffee waiting for me. And when I got done, I didn't have to fight all of like the crazy Bloomington traffic coming into town. I had an easy breeze on down back home, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I thought about getting groceries, and then I was like, that's pushing it. Like, there is enough people at this time grocery shopping that I don't want to hear. So, but yeah, it was a really good morning to myself. So this is the first weekend of 2 weekends that I don't have to work. So I'm excited about that.
I would be. I live for my weekends.
I am the more that I experience it, the more I'm like, yeah, I could really enjoy a job where I don't have to work on the weekends, just show up Monday through Friday. Please note that in any of the jobs that you're looking for me for.
All right, let's get to the knitting. What's taking a bow this week? I have absolutely nothing, and I am sorry for the lighting. Callie's the one in...
Hello.
And we've tried our best. Natural lighting can be a blessing or a curse. But at least she can see us.
Yes.
And when we hold things up, it should, adjust. But I've got nothing for taking a bow. I will have some things hopefully next week. I know I've been working on the same old stuff, but they're large projects, almost all of them. So
I also don't have anything finished, and thanks to Steve, I might be getting some things finished.
I told her we're very opposite in the fact that she likes to not finish things. She'll avoid finishing things and just cast something new on, where I'm like, I need to get those things done, marked done, so they don't sit in the back of my mind, because the fact that she has so many things going makes, when I think about it, for her sake, I start twitching. So...
Just so you know, I still haven't split for the sleeves on the Hitafude. We're still good on that.
She's like, look how far I'm on this project that I started just like 2 weeks ago, if that. And I was like, how's that Hitafude going? Or the baby blanket with all the ends? But if she's comfortable with it, she go on with her bad self.
That's right.
Alright, so what's performing this week? The first thing for me is my Portage sweater by Melissa Shaswari out of Elsbeth Levold Silky Wool. Color number 65, which is spruce. Knit on 5, 6, and 7. And I'm working on the sleeves. The sleeves are the last part. So I'm almost done with the decreases on the first sleeve. There's 2 different sets of decreases. And then I'm going to put it on and see where it falls at my arm. You end the sleeve by doing 4 inches of 1x1 ribbing, and then you do a knit round and another 4 inches so that you can have like a seam that you fold the ribbing back so it's double thick on the cuff. I debated doing it. I have enough yarn. I'm really excited. I just balled up a new skein. After this one, I only have 4 skeins left. I had 13, so I'm working through them. I won't use them all. And like I said, I'll probably gift the rest as a prize to the podcast. But here's the first sleeve. You can see the sweater. I know people are excited for me to finish it. I am too. I'm just not... I've got some other things that are more pressing with one thing in particularly with the deadline. So I've tried working on this a couple times this week. So I'm working on it on the show too. I'm almost done. I've got 3 more decreases and then I can knit straight. So the second thing I'm working on is Mix It Up by Jana Huck. This is what I'm hoping to have done next week. I told Callie I've got 6 more rows, but they're like 730 stitch rows that I've got to knit and garter and then bind off. So I've stopped doing the half rows with the wraps and turns, and I'm now knitting all the way across. What's the right side? Oh gosh. This thing's a monster. It's a beast, let me just tell you. So... you can see the little bit of green over here where I've started going all the way across, but you can see how bunched this is on a 60-inch needle, mind you. So here's the striped section in the middle, and then we got green over here. So I've got to do 4 rows of the white, another 2 rows of the blue, and then bind off. So this is out of local alpaca that's been mill spun to a fingering weight, and the white is their natural, and then we dyed the other one in our blue steel colorway. This is knit on a size 3 US, which is a 3.25 millimeter. So, and that'll have some good heft on the shoulders. It'll have some weight. It's essentially 4 skeins, about 1,200 yards of fingering weight. All right. The next is Miss Wisp by Romy Hill. I'm using Knit Picks palette in J, and then Lady Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer in a director's interpretation. I'm still worried about the size of this thing. I did make the executive decision last week due to having only enough yardage to do the medium, not the large on this. For the Lady Men Fiber Arts, this was a short skein, to go ahead and not do another repeat and just start the edgings. So you haven't seen any of the new color in. So I did the one side, which is over here somewhere. Anyway. And they look so much bigger in the pictures, so I'm hoping that they will block out. It is garter on the side, but this just doesn't look like a big shawl. So... I did pick up for the other side with another set of needles, so it's a little bit crazy right now. And I'll be working on that. There's a chunk of the contrasting color, and then a stripe of the blue again, and then there's some lace in the contrasting color. So I'm just hoping when I block it on, I mean, you can see there's stretch there, but I think I'm going to have to block it within an inch of its life. I did carry the colors up the side. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, when it's blocked, it'll be fine, but it's almost like there's some loops. And I think I could have wrapped those a little bit better. but I think it'll be fine once it's blocked out.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to keep it loose so that it can block out. But yeah, so that's that. That's on a size 3 and 4 US. Dropped me blue ball. The next thing is my Totally Tubular Year in Review cowl for 2015. I told Callie, I was like, I don't think I really even added much on this, but I did. I think I worked on it one night when we were watching TV. So I'm using one of our Year in Review sets. Just knitting a tubular cowl in the round in the orders that our colorways premiered for Lederman Fiber Arts, our colorways of the month. So I've added on the Venetian Sunset on the end. So again, we've got Beanstalk, Masquerade, Punk Rock Highlights, Boyhood, OMG Squee, and Venetian Sunset here on the end. This is in our Show Stealer base, which is merino cashmere nylon. And I got the provisional cast on the end. I'll knit till I am almost out of yarn, and then graft the two ends together. So this is just going to be a shop sample to live on our shop sample table in our booth. So, and that's on a size 4 US, 3.5 millimeter. The last thing I'm going to show this week are my Shamrockin' socks, knit out of Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn in the Shamrockin' colorway. And I'm using a size 1 US, which is a 2.25 millimeter. And here is my sock. This is the second one, and about halfway down the leg. And I finished the first one minus the afterthought heel. So here's the first one. I'm doing the same amount of rows. I'm going to have to gauge, even though this is my first time on ones. I'm going to have to gauge to see if my row gauge has tightened, to see if there's enough room for my foot. I like a tight sock, but sometimes the heel can slip off my heel and under the foot if I do them too short, so I'll have to gauge to see if I need to add more rows in the foot. What kind of ticked me off is I went to start the second sock, and I was like, oh, I need to pull off to the seafoam green and the dark teal meet, because that's where I'll start casting on. Well, then I was like, oh, okay, there we go, da-da-da-da-da, and I cut the seafoam, and it was too short to do the long tail cast on. So then I had to rip out a whole nother color repeat. I saved them in case I need them for heels, but I'm like, I just ripped out pretty much 2 color repeats out of the yarn to start the second sock. I was a little ticked off.
You usually have enough, though.
Yeah, but we'll see. We shall see. So that's all that I'm working on this week.
Excuse me. The only thing that I'm actively working on is my Edison shawl. I cast it on when we were at Knit Night together on the, what was it?
Like 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. And so, this has really been the only thing that I've been working on because I really like how fast it is. I don't remember who the Edison shawl is by, but I'm working on a size 7 US 4.5 millimeter, and I'm using 3 colorways of Madeline Tosh DK, and so they are Astrid Gray, which is the gray obviously, Button Jar Blue, and then Norway Spruce is this dark navy colorway. So I have 3 more of this stripe section to go, and then I'll do a border, garter border, and then I'll be done with it. So it's been a really quick knit. There's no short rows with it, so if you have an aversion to short rows, but like the look of the color affection, this might be for you. Plus it's a free pattern. The only thing that I would do differently is, so I was watching Knit One Heart 2 recently, and Sheila is doing the same pattern, and hers is turning out really lovely, and she's doing it all in garter, and I would probably change it to be all in garter if I were to knit it next time, because it's a knit and stockinette, so it's curling. And I know I can block it out, but it's going to curl all the time anyways, so that's the only thing I would do differently.
Is that just the top edge, though?
This is the top edge, yeah.
See, I don't know how it's... And you've got garter... Oh, you've
Yeah.
got some garter at the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's no garter up here, though.
No, because that's the way the pattern's written.
I see. Because I like the stockinette. I might do whatever you do here. I don't know how you do it, but I might do garter up here for a little bit just to keep it from rolling. Because they've got the set-in garter on the side.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and what I like about this is you color the colors up through it. So I'm really liking that because we all know that if I loved weaving in ends, that baby blanket would be done. So, time saver there. So that's all I'm working on.
What's in rehearsal? As I've stated for the past couple of weeks, I would like to cast on something out of my twisted fiber art skeins that I have. And I also am planning to cast on the Banner Day shawl by Megan Williams out of our Showstopper in the Metamorphosis colorway. I have a Oops skein, and her lighting really changed, and I really like an interesting color. So I would like to cast that on at some point soon, but I really want to get some of this other stuff off the needles so that I don't have that guilt. So that's it for me.
Cool. I will still be working on a few other things that I need to finish, but I will be casting on the Handbrake cowl that was gifted to me for our gifted book magazine knit-along. Just a refresher, that started January 1 and will finish up January 31st. And you can knit any pattern that was gifted to you. If you have not received a gifted pattern, you can use any pattern from a book or a magazine. You get 1 entry just for finishing it. You get 2 if you use any base of Leading Men Fiber Arts. And it doesn't have to be the whole project or a percentage of the project. Any Leading Men Fiber Arts base you can count as 2 entries. So I know I worked on that. And so anyways, so I'm going to knit my Handbrake cowl out of Soft Kitty. That's in the Cozy Base, I believe, by Fiber Nymph Dye Works. I bought it at SSK. The only time that I've been to SSK, but I thought, I've got some stash still lingering, and maybe it might be time to use it, so.
Especially before you go again this year.
Yes, so.
One could say the same about me, even from the first SSK and stash that I have from that, but.
If you don't remember, or were not watching at that point, we went on for like a good month or 2 pulling stuff out of the bag that Steve bought.
Yep. My first SSK went a bit crazy, so we spread out the stash enhancement to where I pulled a yarn and a fiber out of my bag every week, and it took about 2 months to get through all of that. But
hey, no judgment.
We are like glowing the light. Oh my goodness. And the shades are... I don't know what to do. It also snowed last night, and I do have this shade open. I should probably shut that shade, but it's too late now. But, the reflection off the snow affects the lighting as well. We actually don't have any lights on in here. Oh. And now it seems really dark in here, but it's still glaringly bright on the camera. All right, let's move into behind the scenes. Spinning. I did finish the commission spinning that I was working on. I was spinning up Spinneretta Studio Polworth in the Frenzy 2 colorway. It was a gradient. And I got 316 yards of a sport weight Navajo plied or chain plied, so 3-ply. And I love it. I think it's gorgeous. Andy came up here and looked at it, and he was like, oh, it's a lot like Winter Night, except, gradient formed. I was like, actually, it kind of is a lot like Winter Night. So, which was our January colorway of the month. So, I'm happy. This has not been washed or thwacked. It will be tonight, and then it'll be shipped out to its recipient. And so then I use my random number generator from my personal fiber stash to spin something new. And it selected first for me a half braid of Leading Men Fiber Arts BFL Silk in the Swamp Thing colorway. Mm-hmm. And this was a kind of, we had some extra fiber, Andy dyed it up. And so here's the BFL Silk. It's a dream to spin. This is the Swamp Thing colorway. And then I paired that, so I'm spinning a 2-ply. I'm going to do the 2.2 ounces out of that. And then I'm going to spin up some other extra we had in Polworth in the Dreamweaver colorway. So I'm going to do another ply out of that, and then I'm going to barber pull them together, but it'll be a consistent barber pull. This is 2.3 ounces, so I'll have 4.5 ounces in the end, and I'm calling it, I put the two names together, Dreamweaver and Swamp Thing, and it's a Swamp Weaver. And Andy's like, well, why don't you call it a Dream Thing? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't think of it. So, Swamp Thing, or Swamp Weaver, whatever. It was all whatever.
Weaver Swamp.
So, I'm
That'll catch
spinning.
on.
I'm spinning. That's the key thing, is that I'm spinning. Just keep spinning. So that's that. Alright, in the spotlight, what are we watching and reading? I am 2 weeks behind on American Horror Story ever since they took a little hiatus. And I have tomorrow off, Andy does not, so I'll actually have time to sit downstairs with the DVR and watch it. So I'll catch up on that. We are still watching House of Cards, Season 3. I think we have 2 episodes left. We didn't have much time. We were really tired this week, so it's like... And plus, by the time I'd come upstairs, I'd want to watch some of my favorite podcasts and not sit in front of the TV with him. So, that's that. The other thing I'm watching is Once Upon a Time. I just made it into Season 3 yesterday. Sorry if the camera shook. I'm trying to take notes. So, that's campy as all get out, and you've got to have an extreme suspension of disbelief for that show. But, you know, it is what it is. It's fun to catch up here or there. And then, I wanted to tell you guys about a new show. And I really, really, really would appreciate it if you would at least give it a try. So there is a colleague of mine, I guess you could say, we're never really good friends. I mean, we were both in the theater department at Illinois State University. And she actually was studying theater education. She was about a year or two older than me. And became a teacher. And from what I'm able to gather from some information, she, again, not really close friends, but I think she became an elementary school teacher, was doing stand-up comedy in Chicago at night, and became part of an improv group called the Katydids, because there's 6 of them, and they're all a form of Katie, Catherine, that kind of thing. Well, they decided to, over the course of time, they all moved out to LA, and they did a web series called Teachers. Well, it was then picked up by TV Land, and it actually premiered this week, so it was really, really, really neat to see somebody that I went to school with on TV, prime time. I actually recorded it, but because it comes on at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays on TV Land. So, and they played it at like 10 and then at 11. It's only a half-hour show, and it's a little bit like a sketch comedy, kind of like, I don't know. It's very small scenes. I think they took a lot from what they brought to their web series, and when they did the web series, they didn't have a whole lot of time, so they had to have very small scenes. But if you've ever been a teacher, if you've ever taught kids, been a parent, lived next to a school, anything, I mean, there's something. It is funny. Is it the best thing I've seen? I'm not going to say yes, but... it is really, really funny. I laughed out loud. Even Andy sat and watched it with me. We had dinner watching it one night. The first scene made me laugh so much because there's 2 of the teachers on the playground trying to have an inappropriate conversation, but yet manage the kids and the things that they say to the kids. I'm like, this is my life. This is what I do all day. In the passing period, I'm having a conversation with a colleague of mine, but then I've got to stop and correct behavior all the time in what I say, or the teacher look, because I've got several of those. So I highly recommend you check out Teachers. It's through TV Land. Check and see if you've got it. I think you can also catch it online, and the TV Land app or things like that. Just check it out, Teachers. Really, really funny. The person that I knew was not in all that much of the pilot, but I'm excited to see where the show goes. So please, 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 I want to see them succeed. We have a few breakout stars from my years at ISU. We have somebody who's on Chicago PD right now, who's a very, very good actor. There's a couple other people who've had some indie films and things like that, but I really like to see people I went to school with succeed. So check out Teachers on TV Land. It's on Wednesdays at 10. At least it is for me. So. I'll talk about books after you talk about your TV.
I haven't really been watching a whole lot of TV, just because of time and schedule. I've been trying to catch up on. I tape three talk shows, two of which are late night talk shows. So I tape Ellen, I tape the Tonight Show, and I tape the Late Late Show with James Corden. And so, like, everybody had some kind of like really neat guest star this week or last week. And I don't know if anyone is a fan of Adele. There's a lot of us. And so James Corden does this carpool scene. And so, like, he invites all these, like, mega superstars to carpool with him. And Adele was on this week on Wednesday night. And it was, like, a good 15 minutes. And it was so good. She sang, obviously, some of her songs. She rapped Nicki Minaj's, I'm not going to say it's an explicit title, but it's blank monster. And then she sang If You Want to Be My Lover by the Spice Girls. And so it was just really cool to kind of like get that, that side of Adele.
It's all over Facebook if you're on Facebook. I have not watched it, but I really like the carpool thing. Andy's a fan of James Corden, simply for the fact that that's his type. But I watched one with Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah,
have
when
you ever
they
seen,
went to the
when they went through a
drive-thru
drive-thru and she sang her whole order? Facebook has become a huge time suck for me lately.
Yeah.
I sit down just to scroll through and it's 20 minutes later. I'm like, why do I let this happen?
I have become a huge fan of the saved. Like, if you go into, like, the little down thing, like, when you see a post, you'll see, like, a down caret, and then you hit on that, and you can save link and stuff. And so that's what I do, and I build it up, and then when I've got a, like, spare 15 minutes, I, like, just blow through reading or watching the stuff that I've saved. But I counted up how much I saved yesterday, like, because I had gone through a good chunk. So I had, like, over 100, and I got it down to 60 yesterday. So, and it's, like, a combination of things, the articles, performances, etc. So, I'll talk about what I am reading. And I finished 2 books this week. I finished the holiday edition of People I Want to Punch in the Throat. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was a funny book, but I did I get irritated when people who are kind of like this author and they write these pieces, but they don't write them as like a cohesive collection. So you could read any part of the book if you wanted to, but for someone that reads the whole book all the way through, I don't need to be reminded of certain things. Like, I've already read about them and I don't need to be explained again. So for me, that's why I took it down a notch. If she would not have done it, I would have given it 4 stars. I also finished Cooking as Fast as I Can by Kat Cora. She is was the first female Iron Chef, and it was an interesting read. I'm not going to give too much away about it because I feel like if you even know who Kat Cora is by just a little bit, I think it's worth reading the book because we didn't get the Food Network in its earlier years, and so she premiered on a lot of like the first early Food Network shows, and so I remember watching her. My most vivid memory of her is competing on Iron Chef, but also she led a huge campaign for Chefs for Humanity, and she and a bunch of other celebs cooked for Hurricane Katrina victims. So that's kind of where I knew her from. It's interesting how she met her wife and how they had kids, and she didn't really start cooking at a very young age, and she didn't go to culinary school right off the bat. So it's an interesting read, and I'd recommend it. I think you'll learn a lot about her. So that's all.
I finished a book this week. It's called The Stone Man, And I came to find out in the afterward, I listened to it through Audible, that it's a self-published book. It's by Luke Smitherd. And I thought I'd read the very short synopsis on Goodreads. Two-bit reporter Andy Pointer had always been unsuccessful and antisocial until he got the scoop of his career. The day the man made of stone appeared in the middle of his city. This is his account of everything that came afterwards and what that cost him, along with the rest of his country. The destruction, the visions, the dying. And I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was pretty good. It's about this stone man who appears in one of the cities in the UK, and it eventually starts moving, and it'll just walk through buildings. It's going in a linear progression, and nothing can stop it. And even though it looks like it's made of stone, it doesn't have any like seams or crevices. It's obviously an extraterrestrial of some sort, and he doesn't spend a whole lot of time talking about the origin or trying to make up this fantasy land. It's more about the human condition. And this reporter, was there when it happened, and then eventually starts getting visions and can almost clue into the stone man's head and be able to see what the stone man sees or what the overlords see or whatever you want to think. And is able to kind of figure out what the thing is there for and what it's trying to gain. But what's really interesting is some of the decisions that they have to make. Basically, I'm not going to give too much away, but the stone men are there to get genetic code from a certain human being. And when they do that, it ends up killing the humans. So, the UK government is eventually figures this out as well, and he ends up helping the UK government, and pretty much a person becomes a sacrificial lamb, and then the stone man disappears once they get their genetic code. Well, then they come back, and it's almost it becomes a wearing on the human condition of, is this right? Do we save the country by sacrificing one person, or do we try to figure a way out? And I thought it was really interesting. Like I said, I give it 4 stars if you're interested in it's not so much a sci-fi novel as it is
a psychology one.
Yeah, more of again, the human condition, what is man made of, and how far are we willing to go to survive yet still be a human being. So if that interests you, it was on a deal of look at these good books that aren't well known, get it for super cheap, and I got it through Kindle, and I rather enjoyed it. So that's that.
The irony of that is that everything is old, like nothing's new, like not the same plot line with the human condition, but I remember reading a book a while ago where it was about how this like stone figurine or whatever appeared, and it was a different plot line, but it's kind of interesting how, because this book was written in 2012 from what I can see this far away.
Yeah.
But this book that I read, I think I read it like in high school or so it's been, but anyways, it's interesting how different.
There's only so many stories.
Yeah.
There's like 7 main plot lines or whatever, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just a variation on those plot lines. So I don't know, what grabbed me was the subtitle is a science fiction horror story in 3 acts. I was like, ooh, horror. So anyway, that's what I'm reading. I'm reading some other things, but again, I'll only talk about them as I finish them. But that's that. We do not have a book or anything to review this week. I mean, we have things, but we're not going to review anything this week. I have no stash enhancement.
I have some, but I was telling Steve I don't know if I am going to do it as secret knitting or if I'm going to keep it for myself. So I didn't bring it, and that's the reason why.
So let's move into a round of applause. We have a winner for the Sarah Bear Crafts 2015 shawl collection. Sarah Berghardt Abram is the designer of Sarah Bear Crafts, and she generously donated a copy of all of her shawls, 5 shawls in total, that she published in 2015. And so I showed those off last week, and I opened up a thread. You must have been a member of the group to win, and only 1 post per person. And I asked what shawl would you start with, or if you wanted to rank them in order. I know Sarah was really excited to see kind of what was the winning shawl. And there was, there was differences all over the board, though. I think Polyphony was rather big. The first one, Zoe and something. I can't remember that one. I didn't have anything to do with that one, so I'm like, ooh. Zoe and something was a big one, the really thin, long, triangular scarf one. But anyway, so we pulled for a winner, and there were 40 entries, so we did 2 through 40, and the winner was number 9, who is Daria's mom. And that is Kim from Marietta, Georgia, and she said she would knit the Polyphony first, so I just finished mine. And Callie was telling me about how she was thinking about casting one on, and reconsidered.
It's not because I dislike the pattern. I think it's a beautiful pattern. I was just like, I don't know if I want to commit to something that could be a baby blanket.
It's a commitment. It's 3 skeins, full skeins of fingering weight. So, but the end product is
it's gorgeous,
beautiful, and mine's living on my mannequin in my living room. So,
I will probably knit it eventually. I just don't feel now is the right time for me, since I've got 3. One to weave in ends, one that's due in May, and one that's due in July.
So Kim, Daria's mom, please email me through Ravelry, Dramatic Knits, and let me know that you're aware that you won. And then I will email Sarah, and she will gift you a copy of all 5 patterns. So I think you've got your shawl knitting set up for the next year.
Yep.
Just saying. All right, so moving on. We talked about our patterns you've been gifted KAL, which can also include patterns. If you've not been gifted, they could be from a book or magazine that you own or one that you get out of the local library. So we do want to encourage you to enter anything you finish in the month of January into our January 2016 Race to the Finished Object contest. We have 2 wonderful prizes this month. The first is some yarn from Shalimar Yarns and their Breathless Cush, in the black truffle colorway, along with a small little mini skein of Neptune that I used, and then we have a pattern from our featured designer, who is Megan Sanders. So, thank you for Megan for agreeing to be our featured designer. All right, we're going to move into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you are not interested, we'll see you next week. But if you are, here we go. So I'm going to go quickly through this. The first thing, I do want to remind you that we do have our year in review sets up in the shop all the way through the end of January. They have been going like hotcakes, hence the reason why this title is 525,600 minis, is because I've been doing minis. So you guys have been going gangbusters, excited over mini skeins. So this is the year in review on the Showstopper set. I'm working on breaking down the Show Stealer set right now. I've done nothing but minis pretty much all week, and I've still got a lot more to go. So those are in the shop. You can get also the full 10 skein pack. It does say in there, be prepared to wait 4 to 6 weeks. I think the most anybody's had to wait for any of their orders has been about 5 days right now, between when we get the order and when we ship it out. So that's that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was our Totally Tubular Knit Along. As you saw, if you watched previously, I'm knitting the tubular cowl out of the year in review sets, but you can knit any tubular cowl you would like, and it just needs to be knit out of Leading Men Fiber Arts. You must have cast on or after January 1st, 2016. It must be completed on or before February 29th, 2016. You can post as many cowls as you finish, but they all must be in Leading Men Fiber Arts and fall in those dates. So basically, you don't need to follow a particular pattern. All it needs to be is a tubular cowl, which means you provisionally cast on, knit in the round, and then graft the 2 ends together so that it's always in the right side no matter where you're looking at it, and it's double thick. So I know that Amber Yarn Hoarder's doing a cool Chicago Bears colorwork one. There's some other ones out there that are on the needles. So come on and join us. You must be a member of the Liederman Fiber Arts group. So if you're not a member over there, why not? All right, so that's that. Let me show you what we've updated to the shop this week, and then I'll let you go. So we updated a few things. A lot of fiber last night. We updated a lot of Corriedale. So let me show you that. First up, again, this is all on Corriedale. We have Turkey Run, which is one of our newer colorways from November. That's a little bit better. Again, I would look at the pictures online to get the most accurate. We're playing with fun lighting, as you can see. So we have Shot in the Dark. Ooh, sorry. Man of Mystery. Kaleidoscope. This one's fun. And you can kind of see some of the other colors on the back there. Meh. Lighting is crap in here today, guys. Poison Ivy. Hopefully once, daylight savings and the sun starts changing. Granted, we don't keep a normal recording time, but... Country Road. I told you a lot of Corriedale. So if you're looking for some spinning fiber. And this is a cheaper fiber. It's a longer wool, so it's not going to be as next to skin, but great for outerwear. And Mornings in the Backyard. And it does have some gold in there, you can see. Oh my goodness. The gold on the backside. We do have a gradient set in our saffron colorway. And then some yarn we updated. We have some Shot in the Dark on Showstopper. Some Auburn on Showcase. Some Nude Scene on Soliloquy. And some Popeye's Delight on Callback. So that's all in the shop this week. We're going to go before we, I got to hold up my hands. Before we sear your eyes away. So if I take it in my hands, look at that. Gotta love camera editing. So we're going to go until next week, but I hope that you have a great week. And do you have anything you'd like to add, my dear?
Nope. Thanks for watching.
So until next week.
We hope you
Knit something dramatic.